Good evening, Tallahassee, and welcome to FSU Weather. It is the first show of this semester, and we are excited to bring the weather back to you once again. Tonight on FSU Weather, we'll be covering a variety of topics. We have Invest 91L to bring days of rain over the next few days into Florida as that is developing in the Gulf. Severe weather is rolling through the Midwest as a cold front is making its way through, and Hurricane Larry is out in the Atlantic, continuing to hold on to that Category 3 status. We're going to talk about all this and more on FSU Weather tonight, so stay tuned. Good evening, Tallahassee. I'm student meteorologist Melissa Geiger, and we're going to start going into what we have in store today for our weather. Starting off with a live look at Doak, you can see that cloud cover over the stadium right now. Currently 78 degrees and mostly cloudy. We had a few showers roll through earlier today, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. Current conditions, 78 in Tallahassee. We have 87 in Perry, and even a little bit cooler down in Apalachicola at 83 degrees. For Tallahassee radar right now, you can see those scattered storms that have been making their way through the area over the course of today, and some lightning strikes throughout the area as well. As for tonight, 75 in Tallahassee, 79 in St. Mark's, 78 in Apalachicola, so cooling down slightly, but still those warm summer temperatures that we'll be seeing. Warming right back up again tomorrow, 80 degrees in Tallahassee, even warmer down in Carabel, 81 degrees, and 81 in Apalachicola. As for tonight on FSU Weather, for the rest of the night, we'll be talking about Invest 91, sun returning later in the weekend, and Hurricane Larry out spinning in the Atlantic.
And getting into more of our discussion on what we can expect for the local weather, let's begin talking about the top story, which is the Gulf of Mexico. I'm student meteorologist Chandler Pruitt, by the way, and let's begin with 91L. You hinted at it earlier. That's right.
We're seeing a lot of storms that have been starting to come through. We're going to be continuing to see rainfall over the next few days as that I-9511 L comes through and is spinning up in the Gulf, making its way towards the Florida Panhandle. We'll see if we can get those graphics up. Looks like we won't be able to do that, but we will bring those up later in the show.
That is right. We'll be looking at just how much rain we can see in the next few days, and potentially 1 to 3, maybe even 5 inches of rain in the Big Bend region. And let's move on to more of our graphics. So, FSU Storm Lab, let's get started. All right. All right, so let's get started on 91L. As you can see here in the tropics, you can see some showers on the Gulf that are making their way towards the coast, just cruising along, and that will provide some rain for us over the next few days and really be a big rainmaker for us here in the Big Bend region. And looking at the water vapor, you can really see that there is a lot of moisture in the Gulf, and you can see there's a little bit of dry air once you get up into Louisiana.
Okay.
Down here near the Yucatan, and that is 91L. It will make its way up towards Tallahassee. As you can see, there's a decent amount of convection and a lot of cloud tops. And 95, all right, over the next 5 days, you can see 91L will have a 40% chance of development starting as it gets close to the coast. Future radar, well, you can see some of these showers really just pulling their way in on Wednesday, and that's a lot of rain, actually. I mean, it's moving pretty fast, but you can see that we will be expecting a decent amount of rain in the area, and it will be a potential flooding event for some local communities in the Big Bend region. And looking at the rainfall forecast, well, you can really see that there is a decent amount of rain expected over the next few days, and it might be a decent washout. So tomorrow, we can expect a lot of rain overall, and Thursday conditions will begin to clear out later in the day. We can expect 1 to 3 inches right now. That is with uncertainty. We could maybe expect even more over the next few days, but who knows? We'll see. And now let's toss it off to Melissa.
Taking a look at our local radar, we'll be seeing for the week ahead, those storms are going to be continuing through the week with 75% chance of rain tomorrow, 60% on Thursday, dying down in the weekend, and we're still seeing those low chances later in the week. And now we move on to our local forecast. We see in Tallahassee we did have some showers come through today, and as we take a look at Doak Campbell Stadium, you see those clouds are still lingering over the stadium from those showers. It's currently 78 degrees and mostly cloudy, as you can see, with a calm wind coming through. As for our temperature almanac, we were pretty hot today, high of 90 today, low of 71. So we met our average temperature as the high, but thankfully didn't get anywhere near our record high of 99 in 2019. As for our local temperatures, once again, it's 80 degrees in Tallahassee, 86 in St. Mark's, a bit cooler down by the coast at 82, and up in Georgia is even a bit cooler at 79. So they're starting to cool off into those nighttime temperatures. Our dew points, still seeing those high dew points that we do in our Florida summers. Muggy conditions, 72 in Tallahassee, 75 in St. Mark's, 76 in Apalachicola. Hopefully that'll start dying down soon, but we know how Florida is. As for our local radar, you see those storms that came through earlier today moving their way out, but there are still more storms behind moving their way up towards Tallahassee, so you can expect some scattered storms throughout the night. Taking a further look out, the Gulf is showing some storms right now. That's where I-9111 is sitting out there right now, which is throwing most of the rainfall at us. As for the rest of Florida, there's some storms down in South Florida that we are looking at and that you may want to be aware of if you're planning on going out tonight. Future radar is showing those storms continuing to move through sporadically over the next 24 hours, and you can see that rainfall coming through Tallahassee with a lot of cloud cover continuing over the area. Tonight's lows, 75 in Tallahassee, 79 in St. Mark's, and 78 in Carabel, so it will be cooling off, but as you can see, those showers are going to be continuing across this entire region. So if you are planning on going out, make sure you grab an umbrella. If you're standing out there, you might get wet. For tomorrow's highs, 80 in Tallahassee, 80 in St. Mark's, and 81 in Apalachicola. So another warm day, but cooling down from those 90s we have been seeing over the past few weeks. Your dog walk forecast, 76, 79 at noon, and 79 at 3 p.m. So you might want to take your dog out on a walk pretty early. Once again, we're seeing those continuing rainfall chances over the next week, and we'll be seeing decreasing chances as we go into the weekend. So hopefully that game on Saturday night will be a good one. Now we're going to turn it over to Chandler to take a look at the next segment.
The Florida forecast. But first, let's have a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium. Again, it is 78 degrees, so it's pretty warm and decently muggy. We have some clouds out as well, hinting at some of those showers that are around in the region. Wind is calm, though. It's quite an enjoyable forecast. So for your hour by hour, you can really see that we reached 89 degrees, at 1 p.m. And we have coasted back down to about 79 degrees thanks to those clouds rolling in. And looking at the local temps, you can see that we're really in the 80s for the most part across the region. And dew points pretty muggy in the 70s, low 70s, even mid 70s like in Monticello. Looking at the Florida radar, you can really see all these showers that are in the Big Bend region that is providing the cloud cover, and it will provide the rain over the next 24 hours to 36 hours. Looking at the future radar, again, you can really see the rain that will make its way through coming up through the morning hours starting tomorrow. And so again, these have really heavy batches of rain within these systems. So again, we can expect a lot of rain for tomorrow going into Thursday. 74 degrees will be our expectation for tonight, and we can see some showers starting pretty late tonight as well. And looking at tomorrow's forecast, we can expect to get about 80 degrees. That's because the clouds will act like a blanket, kind of keeping us about the same temperature that we are currently. And looking at our dog walk forecast, again, we'll get up to about 79 degrees, but the fact of the matter is rain is in our forecast for the entire day, so it's probably not a great day to take a walk. And looking at the rest of the week ahead, again, we'll see the 80-degree temperature mark tomorrow, and we'll see in the 80s for Thursday and Friday. And we'll see those rain chances really start to peel off once we start getting into the weekend. So we'll at least have hope coming into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Looking into the rest of Florida, you can see Gainesville, Panama City Beach, and Miami. All of it pretty much sunshine until you get into Miami, which is kind of odd, honestly. Looking at temperatures, you can really see 70s and 80s is our story, but our main story is 91L. Again, it will provide some rain for all of Florida, but especially the Big Bend region. It will develop on the coastline and send a lot of moisture up into our area. We'll get more into the details later on in the segment. Looking at future rainfall, again, I hinted at it. We'll see upwards of 5 inches of rain potentially in the Big Bend region. And looking into other areas, we see Miami, 90-degree mark, and then going into Tampa, 80s, Orlando, 90s as well, and then getting into Jacksonville and Pensacola, again, 80 degrees. It's pretty much the same story all around. It is summer in Florida. Now, looking at tonight's temperatures, you can see we'll get down into the 70s for the most part in most of the Florida Peninsula and into the Panhandle as well. And getting into tomorrow's forecasted high temperatures, 80s for the Big Bend area where we'll see a lot of clouds, and then sunshine for South Florida. Now let's get back to the weather with Melissa.
And we're going to take a look at our national radar right now, or national big picture right now. 93 in Albuquerque, so really warming up. We thought it's hot here in Florida. It's only 80 degrees. Going out west, you're seeing temperatures in the 90s right now until you get to Los Angeles and San Francisco in the 70s right now. As for the national radar, the west is really dry. There's not a lot of rainfall coming through. You can see those showers are just staying off the coast, not really wanting to make their way onto land. Meanwhile, we're over here drowning in rainfall that we'll be seeing over the next few days. As for our upper level water vapor, you see that dry air sitting over the west portion of the country right now. And coming over to the east, you can see that moisture and even that tropical system that's trying to develop in the Gulf that we will be monitoring. Dew points as well, you can see 26 in Salt Lake City, 55 in San Francisco, and that's where all those fires are taking place right now with that drought monitor. Really need to look out. If you're out in the woods or something, don't put out any cigarette butts, don't be starting fires in anywhere that is likely to cause a forest fire. There's already enough of those going around. Try to keep everyone safe in that area. Looking at our national radar down in Las Vegas and San Francisco, once again, those showers just barely staying off the coast. Really needs to make it onto the coast, but just can't seem to quite make it there. So we're looking at some really dry weather. Meanwhile, up north, we're looking at a cold front coming through that has been bringing some severe weather today. You can see those severe thunderstorm warnings as that storm is moving through. Earlier today, we did see a tornado come through as well. As the severe weather continues to move through the area, that cold front will be moving into the northeast area where we can see those flash flood warnings in New York right now. So that will be over the next day where that storm finally makes its way over. Since there is so much rainfall that has been over New York and they're already flooding, that's something you really need to look out for. It can be a potentially dangerous situation. If you see floodwaters and you don't think you can make it, turn around, don't drown. It's not worth trying to drive through it. So keep you and your family safe and make sure you're being aware of the storms to come. More incoming rainfall, you can see that cold front making its way through, bringing that rain and cloud cover through the area that we'll be seeing continuing into Wednesday and Thursday when that cold front finally makes its way off into the Atlantic. For our rainfall forecast, see a rainfall is right now around 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches, and as it makes its way over, a little bit lower, looking more of about 1/2 inch. Then as you get into the New York area, you can see that we're expecting about 1 to 3 inches of rainfall, which is really what we need to look out for that flash flooding. For tonight's lows, 56 in Denver, 65 in Albuquerque, a little bit warmer in Phoenix at 84. Tallahassee again is at 74, and Miami is at 76. So we are seeing some cooler temperatures, but still continuing to be pretty warm. Tomorrow's highs, 90 in Denver, 91 in Albuquerque, 107 in Phoenix. We always think that Florida is so hot for this time of year, but you go out west and you hit 107, and that's not just your heat index, that's the actual temperature. So that's really hot, then really dangerous for those since they are in the middle of a drought. So once again, make sure you're not putting out any cigarette butts in any really dry areas and starting more forest fires. Really need to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure we keep everyone safe, because we know how dangerous those forest fires can be in the West this time of year. So we're going to continue on with our next forecast. We're going to take a look at our tropics and see what's going on with the tropical system in the Gulf.
That is right. Yes, so you're talking about dry Arizona, but let's get back to the moisture in the Atlantic and in the Gulf. First, starting with Larry. We got Hurricane Larry out in the Atlantic. It is a Category 3 hurricane. It is pretty large and pretty sizable. It has a very distinct eye. It is very, what we would call annular. It isn't quite an annular hurricane. However, its rain bands are pretty shortened. It is very compact, but pretty large as well. You can see that the winds are 115 miles per hour currently. We can expect in the next forecast discussion that it will probably go down about 5 miles per hour, which would hint at it being a Category 2 hurricane. So it is starting to weaken, and let's look at some of the reasons why. Well, first, water vapor. You can see that there is a lot of water vapor associated with this storm, but right down here, dry air, and that is why we're seeing the system start to weaken. Some of that dry air is starting to creep in to the system and trying to disrupt its circulation, its flow, and it is starting to weaken because of all this dry air to its southwest. Sea surface temperatures, though, are trying to help it maintain its strength. We can see that these temperatures are very warm until, of course, you get past the Gulf Stream current. But right now, it is very warm for Larry, and maybe he'll stay a Cat 2 for a while. That's what the NHC is expecting as it gets closer to Bermuda. However, we can expect that it won't hit Bermuda directly. Bermuda could experience a few of the rain bands associated with Larry. You can expect some more rain for St. John's, and as it goes through and into the subtropics and further into the North Atlantic, it really will soar as it gets farther and farther north. But for Bermuda, you can expect a tropical storm watch, so that means you can possibly see tropical storm force winds associated with Larry. And getting into Invest 91L in the Gulf, well, we can see that there's a lot of convection going on right above Yucatan Peninsula. However, it is pretty disorganized. That means that it does not have a clear center of circulation yet. And getting into the 5-day development, this is where we can expect that it will potentially form into maybe, just maybe, Mindy. We have a pretty bland storm name list for this year, but Mindy, I'm sorry for anybody that is named Mindy out there. I'm sorry. So we can potentially expect for it to form off the coast of the Big Bend region and the panhandle of Florida. This isn't a guarantee. It's more of a 50-50 coin flip, or well, more like if you weighted the coin and it's 40% chance. But again, we could see Mindy. We could just see potential tropical cyclone. Whatever it is, we actually know what it will bring, and that is rain. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But first, we can see the sea surface temperatures. There are a lot of that, especially over here in the West Gulf. Not as much as we make our way to the East Gulf. That's due to a couple of reasons. First of all, Hurricane Ida caused some upwelling in the East Gulf, and that still is recovering. So it's starting to warm back up, but what didn't help was a bunch of the cloud cover that was associated with a stalling front in South Florida. That really did help increase the cloud coverage. Therefore, sun couldn't radiate down onto the waters and warm them up as quickly and recover from that upwelling. And looking at the water vapor, you can really see that there is some of that dry air up there, but that is not the factor. In fact, most of the factor is the wind shear that is currently hovering right around this invest. So the wind shear is basically where it keeps the invest from completely forming a center of circulation, and it eliminates most of the convection, or at least it tries to. And right now it is in that area where you can expect less convection, but it's going to move into a more conducive environment. As we can see with the rain, you can see that there is potential development, but the main story is not so much the development and the potential organization of the storm. It's more so the fact that it is so disorganized that it could bring so much rain to the Big Bend region, and specifically to areas just east of Tallahassee. You see just a huge stretch of moisture. So I want to emphasize, just because it may or may not form does not mean you shouldn't already be taking precautions. Make sure that you know your roads whenever you commute to work. If you know that you have to drive on backcountry roads, check and make sure before you drive through them that they aren't flooded. If they are, turn around, don't drown, find another way. There are plenty of roads, and you can always just try another one. Try a U.S. route, try the interstate, something that won't be as prone to flooding. It's just a better and safer way to commute. Of course, we all have to commute because most of the time your employers, they look at this and go, it's not a name, so we're not going to cancel work for the day. So just be just be on the lookout for these flooded roads, and just be cautious as you're driving to work tomorrow and you're driving home from work. So just make sure you are keeping an eye out. And we'll go into the rainfall forecast specifically, so you can really see a whole lot of moisture. You can see upwards of 7 to 10 inches of rain over into the western panhandle, or the eastern panhandle, excuse me. And then getting into the western Big Bend, again, 7 to 10 inches of rain in some areas, some local pockets. And of course, we have had a decently moist a few weeks, and so we could really expect that some of these saturated soils can add to the fact that, we could have a little bit of a flooding incident and not expect it. You can see some 7 to 10, maybe even upwards of beyond 10 in areas just here in these pockets east of Tallahassee. Tallahassee, we're kind of in between, and so with the uncertainty of the forecast, we don't know for sure. Will we see 3 to 5? Will we see 1 to 3? Will we see maybe upwards of 5? For now, we can expect 1 to 3, maybe even upwards of 5. But we need to keep an eye on the forecast, make sure that as we see this invest get closer, we understand, okay, is it going to train over Tallahassee? Is it going to train just to our west, or is it going to train over our east? Or is it going to split around like it currently shows in the models? So again, just having to keep a lookout and make sure that we just keep an eye out on these systems. But now I'll toss it back off to Melissa, and we'll talk about some sports.
That's right, Chandler. We have a big football game this weekend. We have Cowboys at Buccaneers and the Raymond James Stadium, starting our football season off this weekend.
That is right. And of course, it is big. Everybody likes football. I'm just assuming that. I'm sorry, that's actually not a good assumption. But I like football. And of course, if you are in Florida, you usually like the Buccaneers or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unless you're a Yankee transplant, then maybe you like Giants, Jets, New England Patriots. But hey, if you are a local or somewhat of a local, you like those Buccaneers, those Jacksonville Jaguars. And right now we have the Buccaneers that will be playing the Cowboys. So we can expect a pretty good game, potentially, maybe. Cowboys, everybody hypes them up, though.
Yeah, we have potential for rainfall, but hopefully that'll hold out. We'll see more later on in the week, and we'll recap that on Friday, looking into our weekend forecast, so you have a better idea of what to expect for the game, and if you're going to need an umbrella when you go to the game.
Exactly. It is a little bit farther off, and we don't know for sure yet, but it will be a pretty good game, and we'll expect some moisture in our area during that time, but maybe not as much in Tampa.
Hopefully the system will stay away until that game is
Yeah,
over.
exactly. The hope is that it develops more towards the north. Of course, as they get less rain, we will get more rain. That's just kind of how it works. But even looking at those temperatures, hopefully if the clouds stay around, it won't be too terribly hot.
That's right. It'll help keep it cooler. We're looking at showers probably around 8:20 at kickoff and at halftime, hopefully clearing up around 10 o'clock and just being some clouds. And around heading home, it should be clear and decent drive home.
Yeah, it should be a decent drive home. No more showers. And we can expect a decent environment, you know, just 79 is not too bad. I mean, the humidity might be a little much, but it's better.
Hopefully it'll be a nice day to enjoy the game.
Exactly.
Now we're going to move over and we're going to take a quick overview of what we've gone over on the show tonight. We're looking at current kickoff and we're going to move on to our overview. So we're going to take a quick look at what we've seen tonight with their tropical systems and with droughts and rainfall. Looking at today's radar, see those rain showers moving through the area that we saw earlier today, kind of getting a clear break right now. Invest 91L is still out there,
It's
struggling to
Russian roulette. What am I going to
off to the northwest, and will probably be moving over closer towards Tallahassee. For our 5-day development, it will be developing closer as it gets closer to the Panhandle, 40% chance of forming in the next 5 days. For our IR satellite of Larry, you can see that storm is continuing to cling on to that Category 3 status, swirling out in the Atlantic. For severe weather, that cold front is bringing that rainfall through, and tonight's lows for our nation, 72s, 50s up north, and 70s down here in Florida. For tomorrow, 90s out west, 80s in Florida, and 70s up north. So now we're going to turn it back over to Chandler to take a look at our next segment.
That is right. Now let's take a look at some more of the local weather. Let's take a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium one more time. We can see 78 is our current temperature. Again, that is because of the clouds that kind of rolled in. It is mostly cloudy, and we can expect that those clouds will stick around for the remainder of the night. And winds are calm unless you are under one of those storms. Then you could expect a little bit of a breeze. Current local temperatures, you can expect, well, 70s, maybe even an 80-degree temperature when you're looking out west. But when you're looking out east, it is in the upper to mid-80s. Looking at the Florida radar, we can really see some moisture coming from the Gulf and into the Big Bend region. So expect some of those showers, expect some heavy downpours throughout the next 24 to 36 hours. But currently, we can see some of that rain really surging into southern Georgia and leaving the Big Bend region. But look, we can see some of that rain that's going to make its way over into our area in the next 24 hours. We can really see this happening. You can see right here, boom, around Wednesday morning. We can see a lot of rain. And for tonight's lows, really, the mid-70s is our story. And that's just because of all the cloud coverage. It will keep us from cooling down a lot, but that will also keep us from heating up as well. And, well, the story has been a lot of rain, and rain, but guess what? Saturday, Sunday, we can expect some better temperatures. So I'm hoping to see that come Saturday and Sunday. But let's get on to the rest of the desk closing. And well, it's been a whole bunch of rain, so I'm hoping some sunshine maybe.
Hopefully.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Especially for the FSU game this weekend at 8 o'clock. Hopefully we'll be seeing some better weather than we are right now.
Exactly. But, I mean, I have looked at some of the climatological data, and we have been in somewhat of a dry spell the last few months, so we are going to make up for it. It's just kind of rough making up for it all in, like, you know, the span of 1 week. But really, looking at the 7-day, Wednesday, tomorrow and Thursday is just going to be pretty dreary overall.
Yeah, I wouldn't plan on going out anywhere tomorrow night or Thursday night because it's going to be a lot of rainfall coming through. Really not that enjoyable, but hopefully we're looking at those rain chances dropping over the weekend, so hopefully it'll be a more enjoyable weekend for us.
Absolutely, getting back into the normal Florida pattern of spotty showers every once in a while.
That's right. We have a lot going on right now, but make sure you follow us on Twitter at Twitter/FSU Weather. Like us on Facebook at FSU Weather.
And watch us live on YouTube at youtube.com/FSU Weather. We'd also appreciate some of your photos, so follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather. But I have been Chandler Pruitt.
I'm Melissa Geiger.
And have a great night.